Send it in.
And hello, everyone, to episode 12 of the Puckett Send It In podcast. I am Jay Gibson, joined alongside my friend and co-host Alex Krutchik. Alex, we always love it when we get to react to a Panthers win, and I don't know if we've ever seen a bigger win on this show before than tonight, as the Panthers take down the Edmonton Oilers in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final by a score of 3-0. Alex, this was a very weird game stat-wise. In many ways, it looked like Edmonton would have been the clear winner, but Florida had the X factor tonight. It was Sergei Bobrovsky, who had an absolutely electric game, and Florida got off to a slow start, as they tend to do in Game 1, but they still came out on top.
Yeah, no, certainly a weird game. It was kind of the inverse of what we're so used to with the Panthers and their opponents, where the Panthers were held to a low shot total. Mm-hmm. It was really the other team that was just getting their chances in, but Bobrovsky was a brick wall back there. Florida only had 4 shots on goal through the first period, and they scored on their first one. First shot on goal was Carter Verhaeghe. One-timer from Sasha Barkov along the goal line. Nice cross-ice pass. Terrific pass from Barkov on that one. Yeah. First shot on goal all game. They got 3. First shot on goal all game. They got 3 more that period. They ended with 18 total. For a team that was at the top of the league in shots on goal per game, it was pretty surprising. Because you and I spoke about it during the series preview pod. Like, this was the one thing that we were not worried about. Was surely the Panthers are going to get their shots on net, and surely a few of them are going to go in. Today, and we'll get into this more in a bit, today it was really the goaltending for the Panthers that kept them in the game, and it was the offense that couldn't really get going a whole lot.
It's weird. Yeah, it's a weird point, Alex. Prior to this game, the 2 times that Florida was outshot in the playoffs, they did not win those games. So it's a rarity for Florida to be outshot, and even rarer is them winning in these kinds of games. But again, stat-wise, nothing really here makes you go like, wow, Florida had the advantage in this game. But obviously the biggest advantage you want to have is the lead. And Florida achieved that in the first period, and they never looked back. All they did was capitalize in every single period, capitalize onto their lead with another goal in the second, and of course the empty netter in the waning seconds of the third to steal the game. So Edmonton did a lot right today. All right, I thought Edmonton played a really solid game despite being shut out. They looked really good. They looked like the aggressor. Like I had mentioned, Florida is unfortunately known for these Game 1 games to not, usually show their best hockey. We saw that against Boston, where they got manhandled, and they still didn't even look that great in that 3-0 win over the New York Rangers, but they still managed to get it done, and they managed to get it done tonight. As far as what they did do right, just generally speaking, they were way more physical throughout the majority of the game. I believe they recorded 63 hits compared to Edmonton's 35, which is obviously awesome. But no, the difference in shots on goal in the first and second period specifically is absolutely absurd, and I believe I have it pulled up here. Edmonton took 13 shots in the first period. Florida took 4. Edmonton took 13 shots in the second period. Florida took 8. So Edmonton controlled the puck, and they had their breakaways. And I feel like that was one of the biggest negatives about this game for Florida, was the breakaways they allowed Edmonton to achieve, but it still wasn't enough, all things considered. How about that?
Yeah, they're going to get those breakaways. Certainly, they got more than you would have hoped, and I'm sure the Panthers defense will be able to cut down on those breakaways that they allow. But that is such a dangerous team to get into a rush, a track meet with, because they're so fast and because they're great at finishing. You and I made it was me. I don't want to throw you under the bus. I made a joke.
Oh, sorry.
No, I because it was me that said it, but I said it to you a few months ago. It seems like the Panthers during the regular season would often get breakaways, but it would be like the one guy that you don't want on the breakaway, right? Like it would be Nick Cousins on the breakaway or something, and he's a great player, but he's not exactly the guy that I want carrying the puck on a breakaway. Mm-hmm. With the Oilers, like there's so many different guys that are getting breakaways that not just against the Panthers, but just in general against other opponents. Like you don't want Draisaitl on a breakaway. You don't want McDavid on a breakaway. Like, these are guys that like Bobrovsky should not have been able to make these saves on, and he just kept doing it over and over and over again.
So let's talk about the star of the game. And we're going to do an early CAT scan here because it's impossible to avoid. But Sergei Bobrovsky, no joke in my opinion, had one of his best postseason games that we've seen in a long time. And that is saying something considering the run, the heater that he's been on. He made some absolutely electric saves tonight to keep the Panthers at bay. How many high-risk shots did he face tonight, Alex?
Yeah. So according to Natural Stat Trick, I'll give you his line right now.
Okay.
So this is power play and 5-on-5, just everything. He made 33 saves, allowed 0 goals, 13 high danger shots. He stopped all of them. 8 medium danger shots. He stopped all of them. This is one of the largest discrepancies between actual goals allowed and expected goals allowed. Natural Stat Trick says that the expected goals against is 3.73.
Mm-hmm.
He allowed 0 goals. Just a fantastic performance from Bob tonight. Just incredible. Yeah. He was standing on his head all night. The defense was okay, and we knew that they would look human against the Oilers. Like, I kind of figured that the first game would be the toughest for this defense as they adjust to the speed of the Oilers. Not that they haven't seen fast teams this year, but there's nothing like Connor McDavid coming down the ice.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be fine. And even tonight, they were fine. There were still holes here and there, allowing the breakaways, not really able to get out of their zone when they needed to. But I think they'll be fine. But Bob really just kept them in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't win that game without Bob's performance tonight. So let's get into the 3 goals, starting with Carter Verhaeghe. He once again is continuing a very solid postseason campaign. It's the 13th career go-ahead goal in the postseason for Verhaeghe, which is the most among all players since 2021. It just goes to show how hot this man is in the postseason. But again, it was off a fast break. Some great passing from Barkov to Verhaeghe. Again, I don't think Skinner had a bad game. That's just a tough goal to stop, regardless of who the hell your goalie is, because of how fast they were coming in, and obviously how electric Verhaeghe can be. But it was just so great. It was satisfying to see Edmonton be the aggressor, but Florida still finding a way to put the puck in the net, which is obviously something that Edmonton couldn't do all damn night. So that was great to see. And good for Verhaeghe for getting off to a hot start in the Stanley Cup final.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a fantastic feed from Barkov. He has had such an incredible run. Like, if the Panthers win the Cup, it's him and Bobrovsky for Conn Smythe. Like, either one, just throw a dart at the wall and see where it lands on. This is the best postseason Barkov has ever had. And it's because of passes like that. He's been such a great facilitator, and he's actually scoring goals when he needs to. It was a fantastic pass. And then the second goal was an Evan Rodriguez one-timer from the slot. Who was it? It was Sam Bennett down in the corner who behind the net, who fed it to Rodriguez in the slot and just gets it right in. Rodriguez was in the perfect place at the perfect time. It was wonderful to see from him.
Rodriguez has done that a few times the postseason, getting those silly, unexpected kind of goals that always catch the opponent off guard. But a very underrated piece of this Panthers offense, without a doubt, is what Aaron Rodriguez can bring in. Obviously, the last goal of the game happened with only seconds to go, but it was Luostarinen with a wrister into an empty net. Barkov gets another assist, so that's 2 points on the night for Barkov, which is obviously cool to see. So they actually had to delay the game a bit for clearing the rats. That's technically not allowed because there was still, I believe, 5 seconds to go in the game, but I digress. It's a fun story. So there you go. Florida beats Edmonton 3-0. By the way, I don't know how much of the local 10 pregame you were watching prior to this, but that one little kid who was always behind the coach's side of the glass, they asked him what would be the score, and he said 3-0. And
He knows.
yes, yeah.
By the way, a little bit of poetic justice that it was Luosterainen that got that empty netter, because remember last year,
Yes,
couldn't play in the finals. Was dealing with an injury that kept him out the entire series against Vegas, and Paul Maurice said that was when he knew that things were going to be challenging, and he thinks that that's the reason that they lost last year, was because of the loss of Luosterainen. So to not only have him back, but then to have him put the exclamation point in the period on this victory.
So just like that, it's the second Game 1 shutout win for Bobrovsky. Obviously, they shut out New York by the same score in Game 1 as well. We're also in uncharted territory now, Alex. This is the first time in franchise history that the Panthers have had a series lead in the Stanley Cup final, and it's a good feeling, getting that first win of the series, because now Florida has set themselves up for the possibility that they can go into Game 2 with their heads high and actually fix the errors that they had in this game. They made a lot of mistakes this game. Let's not kid ourselves. There were a lot of mistakes that the Panthers and team in general made tonight, but they still dominated on the scoreboard. They can fix those, and they can go into Game 2 and take a 2-0 series lead, defend Sunrise, and then the road warrior portion of Florida can kick in. And if they take a game in Edmonton, oh my gosh, But we're still a ways to go for that. Now, mistake-wise, the mistakes that Florida made tonight, I keep thinking about that silly penalty on Verhaeghe right before the first period ended. That what was it? It was a high stick against Bouchard, and it pretty much set up Florida to be on the penalty kill for the start of the second period. Granted, obviously, in retrospect, it didn't really lead to much. Florida's penalty kill is still absolutely stellar. So is Edmonton. So I doubt either team is really going to get much luck on the power play in this series. But there were a few penalties committed by the boys that definitely sting, and a lot of them felt unnecessary, and none more than that Verhaeghe high stick with seconds to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing as well was just the first line of Edmonton was exactly as advertised. They got 17 scoring chances on Florida. They were matched up with actually, let me tell you what the first line is. The first line for Edmonton is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid in the middle, and then Zach Hyman on the right wing. The Panthers had their first line lined up against them for a lot of the night on defense for Hagee, Barkov, Reinhart. And they gave up a lot of chances, gave up 23 scoring chances. Some of that was to the first line for Edmonton. Some of that was just to the other guys. I don't want to criticize them too much because, like we said, it's going to be a challenging one. Doesn't mean that they made a whole lot of mistakes. Just means that the other team's really good. But it's still one of those things where the Panthers pride themselves on not just defense, but specifically, not specifically, but defense from your forwards as well. Like, they have a good group of defensive forwards, and so it'll be nice to see the forwards be a little bit better on defense in Game 2.
Jonathan says, Edmund controlled much of the first two periods, and Bob saved the Panthers this game. The defense truly showed up later in the game, as they usually tend to do in the third period. So the TV announcers always say it, and it's really realistic. They play their best hockey in the third period, and their ability to limit a fiery, hot Edmonton offense in the last 20 minutes of the game is super underrated, and is the biggest strength of one of the biggest strengths of this Panthers team in general is their ability to close out games. When Florida has the lead, they are a deadly team. And granted, Edmonton is a really good team when it comes to I think they struggle when not leading late in games, and obviously Florida is the exact opposite. So I'm not saying when we went into the third period up 2-0 that I felt safe. I was obviously sweating bullets, much like everyone else, but it definitely felt like Florida was going to change things up in the third period, as they usually do, and they absolutely did. This was a really well-coached game from Paul Maurice, even with not everything going their way.
Absolutely, especially the fact that Edmonton called a timeout with about 90 seconds left with an empty net. So they have the man advantage. They're coming off a timeout. And normally the slight advantage goes to the team that called the timeout.
Yeah.
In that instance. And still the Panthers shut them down. I thought that they were great coming out of that timeout. It's one of those things where I think that the experience of Paul Maurice, the whole thing of experiences and everything, just ask the Buffalo Bills. Well, it means something. It means something because I think that they came out of the intermission looking really good, and I think they came out of that quick timeout looking really good.
Things got way worse for Edmonton after that timeout, funnily enough.
Yeah. Shout out Chris Knobloch.
And shout out Isaac.
Thanks, Isaac. It's a black T-shirt with white linen pants.
And the fresh haircut, man. Come on.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to name the haircuttery that I went to. It was a local barber shop in a city that I will not name.
Oh.
I asked for a 4 because I'm not going to put them on blast. I asked for a 4. This was like in the negatives, I think. I didn't know they had negatives. But this is a negative.
So the vibes were really good. By the way, again, a very great crowd tonight at the Amerant Bank Arena. I didn't see too many Oilers fans.
There was one camera shot in the concourse, Jake, where it looked like 80% Edmonton fans just on that particular camera shot. It was very strange.
But obviously, once the game started, they didn't have much to cheer for. They took the Edmonton crowd that was there completely out of the game. Florida was hyped up all game. And as a Dolphins fan, seeing Mike McDaniel bang the drum was also cool. It's confirmed that Alonzo Mourning, Heat legend, will bang the drum in Game 2. So that's cool to see. If there is a Game 5, hopefully they get an awesome Marlins player, maybe Mr. Conine, bust him out for Game 5. I digress. Did you watch much of the pregame concert with the Kid Leroy, Alex?
No, didn't care to. But I'll be there for the DJ Khaled concert. If not in person, I will be there in spirit.
DJ Khaled. What another interesting player I wanted to highlight. It was none other than Sam Bennett leading the way with 11 hits. My God. And not to mention that hit, that quote-unquote incidental hit on McDavid, I believe in the second period. That definitely set the tone. It's always fun to see what Bennett can do to another team emotionally and physically.
It's going to be a physical series. I didn't know how physical it would be. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jake. I don't think Evander Kane had anything to do with it.
Let's check his stat line on good old Kane. He did play tonight.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson had to go to the dressing room for a few minutes after a hit from Connor Brown, I think, early in the game. Evander Kane, nowhere to be seen. He was in the game. You would think that he would be the one to do something stupid, but no. But it was a great physical game. But it was a physical game, and I mentioned this during the Tampa series. It was a physical game in which the Panthers were still able to focus and not lose sight of what they really need to do.
And then again, they were damn physical. They had 60 freaking hits. I mean, it's a very impressive stat line. Kane, by the way, who we said could be an X factor, a -1 differential and 3 hits, no shots, no goals, no assists. So I didn't even check the 3 stars. Who got them? Not that it really matters. Okay, so the 3 stars go to Evan Rodriguez, obviously the goal, and then Carter Verhaeghe, 2 stars the goal. And obviously, the man of the night, Bobrovsky, 32 saves, a shutout win. How can you not give him all the praise as he deserves? So, with all of that said, it now sets up for a Game 2. Out of everything you saw tonight, Alex, what is the one thing you really do believe Florida does need to work on at the War Memorial in Fort Lauderdale? Get that all squared away for Game 2.
I think they need to work on limiting the rushes from Edmonton.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2, and this probably goes hand in hand with it, they need to get back to what they do best on offense and get some shots on net and get into their zone, set things up for themselves. Because I'm not concerned for the offense because, again, I've seen way more games in which they light up the shots on goal total as opposed to games like this. But it's still one of those things where you're here for a reason. If you continue to put up 18 shots on goal every game, you're going to wind up losing. So something needs to change. Granted, I'm not smart enough to tell you how to change that. Otherwise, I'd be coaching next to Paul Maurice as his assistant. But the offense needs to get a little bit more of their chances in. And it starts with the defense, right? That's Paul Maurice's whole strategy is defense creates offense. And we saw the defense today was allowing lots of rushes, lots of chances, lots of shots, and it caused them to not have a lot of chances themselves.
Mm-hmm. Barkov's stat line, by the way, 2 assists, 3 takeaways, did not give away the puck once tonight. 3 hits, with 2 of them being on Draisaitl, which is interesting, and then 4 blocks as well. So another great job by the defensive forward.
Isaac, I see you want analysis for in Marlins terms. So basically, the Marlins offense didn't really do much, but they just got really timely hits here and there, and then Sandy Alcantara throws a 9-inning shutout. Marlins win 3-0.
There you go. How did the Marlins play today?
Not good. Don't even look at the score. We don't have to talk about that. Let's focus on the Panthers. They're up 1-0. They get back to
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
They can still win the series, though.
Is that right?
Just
Actually,
remember,
they did win yesterday, did they not?
Just remember, we have 1997. We'll always have 97 over these.
And hopefully Florida has 2024, and they're one step closer to it, Alex. So game 2 is on Monday at quote-unquote 8 o'clock. It's 8:30. You know, we all hate it, but it's okay. On ABC. So, yeah, the vibes are good right now. Now Florida has the control of the series. They could win game 2 and defend their territory, as they love to say. So Edmonton's got some things to work on, because I don't really have many negatives to say as far as Edmonton's performance tonight and what they can. I don't know what they can really adjust. They played excellent hockey today, you know?
Yeah, I agree. No, it'll be interesting because, like I said, last thing I'll say before we go, Panthers didn't play bad by any means. By any means, no. They did not play bad, but they definitely did not play their game. So I will be very interested to see what adjustments they make going into Monday. And likewise for Edmonton.
So your final score, the Panthers beat the Oilers 3-0 in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Again, Game 2 is on Monday night at 8 o'clock over on ESPN Plus at ABC, however you view these games. And then they'll take a 3-day trip over to Edmonton to get ready for Games 3 and 4. You can't even fly directly to Edmonton. You have to stop at Minnesota or something, and then go there, which is absolutely insane. I digress. It was a fun night of hockey. The Panthers get the win. Vibes are high. So we'll be back for Game 2. Hopefully everything goes Florida's way there, even unexpectedly like tonight. So have a great rest of the night. Go watch some highlights, or actually go to sleep. It's 11:44 East Coast. And let's go home, baby.